سارة، صار عندي حادث سيارة واتصلت بالمحامي قاجي.
قصدين أنتي المحامي قاجي؟
يعني هذا المكتب اللي قالوا عليه أكبر مكتب محاماة عربي كلداني بأمريكا، قاجي؟
لا أنا محامي بالقاجي لا، أنا أعرف لورنس، هو قال لي قاجي لا.
أنا أعرف العائلة زين، يقولوها قاجي.
بعد أي حادث سيارة اتصلوا بيا، أنا محامي لورنس قاجي. 248-702-6641 248-702-6641.
أعزائي المستمعين، طبعا برنامج المحامي لورنس قاجي، معي في الاستوديو المحامي لورنس قاجي. Welcome, Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited today. We have a really good show for the listeners.
Inshallah. And welcome, Mr. Sisson.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
وطبعا أهلا وسهلا بالأخت العزيزة تمارا اللي راح تترجم من العربي للإنجليزي ومن الإنجليزي للعربي، والتوبيك مالنا كلش حلو اليوم. تفضل.
أهلا وسهلا للجميع. هاليوم مالتنا الموضوع راح يكون عن الوقوع، يعني واحد مثلا السقوط، يتزحلق، يوقع، أو عضات الكلاب
وعضة الكلب.
وهاليوم ويانا ضيفنا نتشرف به المحامي مارك سيسن، وطبعا محامينا لورنس موجود. So Lawrence،
أنت راح
أحاول do my best.
Do your best.
Yes.
Every short sentence she had to
we'll
translate it.
Yes.
طبعا
one thing we don't do very well is
اليوم راح نحكي مثل ما قلنا على السقوط، يعني اكو مرات واحد يكون في محلات اسواق كبيره او بالشارع او يم بنايه يوقع.
صحيح.
تمام. هاي وحده. واكو شغله ثانيه وهي انه انت تمشي بالشارع وفي احد الشوبينج سنتر واحد وياه كلب وعضك، او جيرانك عضك الكلب مالته.
بالضبط.
هو هذا الحديث مالنا اليوم، وشنو هي الاجراءات اللي تصير.
So our topic today, we first welcome attorney Mark Sisson to our show today. Our topic is going to be today the slip and fall and dog bites. Mark, we would love to hear a little bit from you and how things are. How's your office run?
Yeah. So let's just start off. So tomorrow, as I've mentioned previously, I've probably mentioned this at every show that we have. KG Law specializes in motor vehicle accidents, right? So we're a personal injury law firm that specializes in car accidents. It's essentially all we do in the office. So every single professional in my office only does car accident cases. We don't do anything else. I also do have a lot of partners that I refer cases to. Mark Sisson is one of them. He's one of my main referrals for slip and fall and dog bite cases. He's a great attorney. He keeps really good communication with our clients, which is very important to our community. As you know, we've spoken about before. And essentially, the reason why I like people to call me instead of just kind of going out there and hiring any lawyers, because essentially, I know who's doing well in practice, right?
Exactly.
I know who's kicking butt. I know who's, taking small offers. I know who's going to trial. I know who's doing what. The legal community is pretty small and everyone talks. So call me. I'll always point you in the right direction. The public has a different perception about what a good lawyer is as opposed to what I can tell you and what I've seen in court. So it's always good. Give me a call. I'll guide you in the right direction, even if it's not a car accident case. I have a lot of referral partners like Mark, and he'll kind of get into, and you'll see, why I've chosen Mark as one of our referral partners.
We just said let's keep it short.
This is what we said now.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي لورنس قال بأنه احنا المكتب مالتنا يسوي حوادث، يعني أضرار صحية بسبب حوادث سيارات، بس عندنا شبكة جدا كبيرة نبعث المصابين بغير حوادث، مثل ما قلنا الوقوع، عضات الكلاب، حتى إذا عندك صار وقعت بالشغل أو عندنا شبكة جدا كبيرة من المحامين. المحامي لورنس يشتغل وياهم، يعرفهم كل الزين
نعم.
بأنهم صريحين
honest يعني.
بالضبط.
نعم.
صريحين، وأهم شيء عندهم الزبون، وشغلهم جدا مضمون همينة. لأنه أكثر الجالية مالتنا يظلون حيرين المن آخذ، ومن واحد لواحد أحسن شيء واحد يسأل محامي حتى واحد يدز للشخص الصحيح.
Yeah. And, you know, like I was mentioning, you know, the public's perception of who's a good lawyer and who's not, unfortunately, sometimes not accurate. Yeah. I've heard many times someone talk about a lawyer that they think is really good. That's, in my opinion, not very good. And I've also had people say a lawyer is not very good. In my opinion, I've seen them in court. I've seen them argue. They are very good, essentially.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي لورنس طبعا أكيد شايف المحامين أكثريتهم يقومون عملهم بالمحاكم، وهذا أهم شيء. كيف المحامي يقدم روحه قدام الحاكم والمحكمة. هواية بالجالية يقولون هذا المحامي زين، بس هو بالأخير مو كل زين أو ضعيف، بس المحامين اللي يعرفهم جدا أقوياء.
Yeah. And, you know, we don't, a lot of firms just refer the case out and, you know, they don't look back. We don't do that. When you call us, we refer your case out. We will follow up with the referring partner and Mark, and, you know, Mr. Assistant will tell you, we follow up with them, you know, every 2 to 3 months to see how the case is going, making sure that things are on track and our clients are happy. We'll also follow up with the person who called us initially, and just to make sure everything's going well with that firm. So it's not just a service that, you know, we just kind of refer it out and not look back.
احنا مو بس ان نبعث لهم القضيه اللي هم الاختصاص مالتهم، بس احنا كل فتره نتصل بالمحامي ونشوف شلون القضيه تمشي، وين وصلت وشلون القضيه تمشي. هل الزبون مالتنا مرتاح وياه، نعم او لا؟ هل عندهم اتصال معه؟ وهمينا نتصل بالزبون نفسه حتى ناكد بانه هو همينا مرتاح ودا ياخذ المعلومات الصحيحه ودا القضيه تمشي لصالحه. هاي همينا كلش اشياء جدا مهمه، مو بس نبعثها وانتهى والكيس انسد من يمنا.
So let's just get right to it. So today I have attorney Mark Sisson here. He is one of our referral partners, like I said, for slip and fall and dog bite cases. He does excellent work. We love working with him. And like I said, the most important thing for us initially at the intake phase is communication. He keeps great communication. He jumps on whenever we need him to. Mark, thank you for coming. If you could introduce yourself to the listeners.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Mark Sisson. I'm the owner of the Mark Sisson Law Firm. And I am continuing to enjoy the great relationship that we've had and look forward to talking to the listeners today about additional actions that you can take, particularly with dog bites and slip and falls.
المحامي قدم نفسه، المحامي مارك سيسن، اسم الشركة مالته نفس الشيء همينه اسمها مارك سيسن. وهاليوم راح يكلمنا ويعلمنا على أشياء إحنا إيش نقدر نسوي من إذا يعني وقعنا أو عضنا واحد من الكلاب أو أي حيوان آخر أنت مربيه أو واحد عضب، يعني مو إلا الكلب. هو راح يقول لنا على الأشياء اللي راح شنو الإجراءات اللي نقدر ناخذها قبل ما نسوي أي شيء، أو شنو هي أول إجراءات شنو لازم نسويها.
Yes.
Okay, so what are the first steps that if you are, let's say, is it just dog bites or you do like probably
cat bites?
Yeah. You know, Mark, before we start on that, I want to know a little bit about your background. So where did you go to school? How long you been in business for? That sort of thing. Sorry, no, tomorrow. Let's get to know Mark and then we'll move on.
No, translate it. Yeah.
I grew up in the Metro Detroit area. I went to Orchard Lake St. Mary's for high school. Then I went to Grand Valley for undergraduate, and then I finished my law school at U of D. So I've been a member of the community for a long time. Really enjoy the Metro Detroit area. A few years ago, I started the law firm. We've quickly grown to over 10 people or so. So I have the ability to handle all types of cases, all types of people that have different claims. And we handle a myriad of cases, not only car accidents, dog bites, slip and falls, but also something called 1983 cases, which is civil rights, as well as employment cases in case you're discriminated against in your employment.
The 1983, what was it?
1983, that's a federal code for essentially police brutality.
Okay.
هذا أول مرة أسمع به.
Yes. مثل ما تفضل المحامي هو من أهالي ديترويت، درس بالمنطقة هنا ويانا، وأخذ مالته الكلية بالجراند فالي، وتخرج من الجامعة مالت المحاماة FUD. ياخذ كل أكثر القضايا، مختلف الأشخاص، إضافة إلى السقوط والعضات الكلاب. يسوي همينة employment إذا أنت أحد ضوجك بالشغل. لو عندنا اتصال.
إذاعة صوت الغد، تفضلوا. ألو.
Hi, yes, this is Bria calling with Comcast.
Okay, so you see, even on live we get so يسوي إذا أنت بالشغل أبو الشغل أذاك أو ضوجك، أو لأنه أنت من غير يعني أنت مو بس أمريكي، أنت عربي، لو أنت
يعني harassing قصدك؟
harassing yes. فشي هسه أول مرة كنا نسمعها. هو يسوي 1983 اللي هو federal against police brutality. إذا الشرطة ضوجوك بطريقة غير صحيحة، هو همينة يأخذ هاي القضايا.
That's good.
Yeah. So sorry, Tamara, you can go ahead and.
She forgot.
No, I didn't forget. No, I didn't forget.
Okay.
I was going to ask how. How, if you got, my question was, is it just dog bites, or you do also other?
All kinds of different personal injury cases.
Oh, okay. مو بس عضات الكلاب بس، أي أذية أخرى هو همينة يسويها. So how you begin with a case?
So the first thing, and I think that Lawrence has the exact right idea. I think our minds are aligned in the sense of that your client is your biggest resource, and they deserve that respect. And that begins with communication. So the initial step is to speak with the client. And a lot of times when somebody has just been involved in an accident or an incident, they want to tell you everything possible.
Yes. أول شيء شلون راح نبدي بالقضية؟ القضية تبدي هو بالمتضرر نفسه. المتضرر نفسه أهم شيء هي العلاقة بين المحامي والزبون. الزبون شلون نقدر نداري الزبون بهيجي مواقف، لأنه هو أكيد متضرر. أهم شيء هي التفاهم بين المحامي وبين الزبون، والزبون راح يبدي بهيجي حالة يريد يشرح كل شيء اللي عنده، وهذا أهم نقطة بالبداية القضية.
احنا دائما هذا نقوله، احنا لما واحد عنده شيء يجي يكون صريح مع المحامي.
بالضبط.
نعم.
Yes.
So I think after you get the initial conversation and you establish the relationship between yourself and the client or the injured victim, you gather the facts, the injuries, and what the treatment plan is, because the situation is going to be continuously fluid. If you end in your communications in the beginning, you will not be properly representing that client, because things change and things develop. So when you talk to somebody, it's important to have a regular calendar, to have a regular timetable of communication between yourself as the attorney and the client.
Okay. أهم شيء طبعا مثل ما قلنا بأنه الصراحة بين المحامي والزبون. من أول زيارة أو أول اجتماع بين الاثنين، المحامي راح يريد يعرف شلون صار الحادث بأي طريقة، ويريد يعرف همينة شنو الأضرار اللي تسببت من وراء هذا الحادث، وبعدين نشوف شنو اللي راح نقدر نسوي لك طبابة يخلون مثل هاي 3 أشياء رئيسية لازم يعني يعرفها الزبون، بأنه هاي أهم 3 أشياء اللي هي راح تكون بينه وبين المحامي، يخلون النقاط ويمشون على هاي النقاط. طبعا مثل ما قلنا أهم شيء هي المحادثة بيناتهم، وبعدين يمشون بالقضية
تفاصيل كاملة.
بالضبط. Okay. And Lawrence, do you have any other questions?
No, I was actually going to go into some slip and fall cases if already. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we spoke about this a couple months ago tomorrow with John on the radio.
Yes.
There was something that happened recently that kind of changed things with slip and fall cases. But obviously, I'm no expert in slip and fall cases, so wanted to have Mark kind of talk about, essentially, we're going to be discussing the open and obvious doctrine. Mark, can you tell us what is the open and obvious doctrine, or what was it essentially prior to the new case that had recently come out?
Well,
it's kind of an open.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a packed question.
Yeah.
To put it simply, in any case, when you become the injured victim, you are considered the plaintiff. You're the person that has the burden of proof when you sue somebody, whether it's a gas station, a Kroger, or Walmart. You're the person that has to prove certain things. There's elements. One of the elements is to establish that the person that you're suing breached a legal duty. And if you don't prove all 5 of those, then you can't win your case. Open and obvious was a defense to legal duty. Essentially, it put the responsibility of the injured party to see any defect in the property or any condition on the land and avoid it.
المحامي لورنس تفضل قال بأنه يريد كان قبل فترة حكينا بأنه كان أكو بالفدرال بالمحكمة العليا بأنه صار تغيير بالوقوع بالقانون مال الوقوع
مال السقوط.
بالسقوط.
نعم.
طبعا هو أحسن واحد يقدر يجاوب هذا السؤال.
جاوبه هو.
بالضبط. قال أول شيء بأنه من نعمل القضية لأنه هو اللي راح يرفع قضية على أحد، فهو لازم هو يثبت، هو لازم يجيب الإثباتات حتى نقدر نبدي نسوي قضية. إذا ماكو إثباتات ما نقدر نسوي القضية، لأنه إحنا العاتق علينا على المتضرر بأنه يثبت بأنه هو الضرر. ضد أبو المحل، ضد أي أحد،
محلات الكبيرة والمارت وغيرها،
أي شيء. النقطة الثانية اللي هم كانوا الفدرال كورت ضد هالشيء، بأنه إذا الزبون يقدر يشوف فشي واضح بأنه أكو نقرة بالقاع، لو أكو مي، لو أكو ثلج، هذا فشي واضح قدام العين، المحكمة كانت ترفض بأنه تسوي أي إجراءات لهالشيء. هسه تغيرت هاي الأشياءات.
شو وقت تغيرت بهالفترة؟
بهاي الفترة.
هاي الفترة.
Well, it was in the Michigan Supreme Court, not in the federal court.
That's correct.
Yes, thank you for that. I got a sign saying that. Yes. Okay.
So that's essentially what it's essentially defense. So one of the elements that we have to prove. So kind of walk us through, when Open and Obvious came out, through the recent case, address the Open and Obvious doctrine.
Okay, so the primary case that was the backbone of Open and Obvious was called Lugo. That case stood for the idea that since you live in Michigan, that you've been a resident in Michigan, you know that snow, ice, rain happens on property, and that's your responsibility to do that, to avoid it.
Right.
One of the shocking examples of how strayed that idea got was a blind person slipped and fell in a bathroom on a puddle of water. Suffered horrible injuries, eventually had surgery on his leg. His case was dismissed by the Michigan State Court and affirmed in the Supreme Court, stating that he should have seen it. He's blind. What the recent decision, and the name of the recent case is called El Sayed, that overturned that standing case law of Lugo and the affirmative defense for duty of open and obvious.
مثل ما تفضلوا بأنه الأوبن أند obvious اللي شيء هو واضح. الميشيغان سبريم كورت تقول بأنه ميشيغان بها ثلج، بها مي، بها يعني آيس، فلازم الشخص هو يكون دير باله. فالقضية وين جتي؟ بأنه واحد كان أعمى ما يشوف، وقع من لأنه كان أكو مي. المحكمة قالت هذا فشي واضح وموجود بس هو أعمى،
هذا شو يسوي؟
هذا شو يسوي؟ فطلعوا هسه بقضية اسمها السيد، لأنه هو الاسم الأخير اللي his last name اسمه الأخير السيد. عن طريق هاي القضية تغيرت الأشياء،
قانون تغير من وراء
القضية. نعم.
Yeah, so this was a long-standing, case law, right? So it's been, how long has it been since Lugo was out? So I think
it's been approximately 25 years since that case went into place.
صار 25 سنة هاي القضية.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Mark, so this new case comes out. So how did that kind of change things for us in terms of pursuing slip and fall cases and essentially signing up slip and fall cases, right?
Right, exactly. I think there's two parts of it, and it comes from two different perspectives. The first one from the attorney is that you can actually win a case for an injured victim now. On the other side of it, for an injured victim, they actually have the ability to win a case now. Instead of completely barring your claim, now the way that we are going to address it, signing up cases and whether or not we can help you, is to determine general negligence. That's the new standard. Right. Whether a property owner has taken the reasonable steps to remove any defects, meaning snow, ice, crumbling sidewalk, a poor hanging door, to be able to establish that they've maintained it or that they have a snow removal company or something like that. Yeah. In the past, it was the landowner did not have any duties, so it was very difficult to succeed in these cases.
مثل ما تفضل المحامي بأنه هسه مثلا الشخص إذا وقع من وراء الثلج أو آيس لو مي، من صفحة المحامي ومن صفحة الزبون اكو احتمال تنجح القضية. إذا لازم نثبت بأنه أبو المكان الأونر مال المكان بأنه هو كان غلطان. كان قبل إذا أكو ثلج أبو المكان ما كان إلا يعني مو إلا يحط واحد يشيل الثلج، لو هو مو بس ثلج، مثلا مالت الرصيف بنقرة وما مسويها، لو مثلا الباب مال المحل مو زينة توقع على أحد. فأكو هواية أشياء لازم نثبتها بأنه هو غلطان قبل ما نمشي بالقضية. لازم نثبتها. Yes, we have to prove it.
Yeah, correct. So Mark, would you say this kind of opened up the door to, pursue and essentially win a lot more slip and fall cases in the state of Michigan?
I think right now it's really early to tell because as you know, it's only been about a month or so. But I think that you're right. I think that it's big. I think that there's going to be a significant change in the rights that injured victims have now. They no longer have zero. Now they have a fighting shot to pursue a negligence claim and to sustain a claim for personal injuries and receive compensation, particularly in egregious situations and generally negligent situations.
القانون تغير ما صار له شهر شويه. بعده هسه بدات تمشي
يعني مو واضح
بعده مو كلش واضح. بالضبط. بس قبل كان اللي يزحلق ويوقع ما عنده قضيه صفر، بس هسه لا، عنده chance بأنه يربح، احتمال أكو قضية واحتمال يربحها. أهم شيء بأنه نتأكد بأنه أكو واحد غلطان، بأنه لو هو ما مسوي اللي عليه أبو المحل أو أبو المكان، الأونر،
ابو الشركه
أبو الشركة بالضبط، لو وبأنه الزبون مالتنا ما شافه وما عرف شلون.
السؤال شلون تسألين
إيه.
شلون مثلا قبل
إيه.
اكو ناس مسوين سوء
مم.
واقعين
اي
ومسوين سوء
اي هل
شلون؟
يقدرون يرجعون قبل؟
مثلا
Okay.
It's a really good question, actually.
Yes, good
Yeah.
question, Mr. Saher. Mr. Saher is asking, previously, before that change, there was a lot of people who slipped and fall, and are they able to reopen
their case,
or apply for
Yeah.
the case, or
Yeah, fantastic question, Mr. Sahr. From the date of your slip and fall, you have 3 years to bring in a claim.
3
That
years.
means that you need to file a complaint with the court. If you've been previously told by an attorney, no, open and obvious applies and you wouldn't have a case, if it hasn't been 3 years, I would suggest calling Lawrence right away.
Okay, how do you prove it?
The date?
Yeah, no, the guy who will open the case, his case.
Oh,
How
if,
he can
so the
Prove
client,
it.
how can he
How
prove
can he
that
prove
day
that
he fell or
yeah.
slept or?
Yeah.
yeah, great question. There's incident reports. There is photographs that you have taken.
Yeah.
There's
So
an
that
If you
attorney's
slip and
file.
fall at
Yeah.
like a Kroger, they're going to make an incident report, right?
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
Mark? That's
they have
usually what
cameras,
happens.
the
Yes.
cameras, yeah.
استاذ ساهر، سؤالك كان اذا الواحد متضرر قبل هذا القانون الجديد،
نعم.
بمشيغان قانونيا عندك 3 سنين تقدر ترفع القضيه ترجع. سؤالك الاخر كان شلون نقدر نثبت بانه الحادث صار.
نعم.
من انت بمكان كبير اكيد اكو كاميرات، لازم تسوي تقرير، انت متضرر فاكيد انت رحت بنفس اليوم رحت للمستشفى،
نعم.
تقارير طبيه، شهود عيان،
That's a
هوايه
great
اشياء.
point. Yeah, exactly. Hospital records, right?
Yes, hospital records, probably witnesses.
Yeah.
So the connected question to that. So Mark, obviously, nothing's set in stone, but what's your opinion on whether the new case applies to essentially cases that happened prior to the ruling?
I think it's retroactive, and particularly from a legal standpoint. If you look at something and we as lawyers take all of our advice from the court system and what we can do, and that's why we say cases and we say names of the cases. That's our directive. That's what we can do. In legal drafting, in an opinion, unless it says that this is only going forward prospectively, it means that it's retroactive. It means that the prior case didn't exist.
اوكي. نقطة
مهمة جدا.
لا مش راحتها همينة، اللي صار لها القضية مالته واقع أو مزحلق صار له أقل من 3 سنين ومتكلم مع محامي، والمحامي قايل له قبل بأنه ما عنده قضية لأنه it is open and obvious، فشي واضح ومفتوح. هسه غير شكل. اتصلوا بعدنا للمكتب مرة أخرى ونقدر ندزكم إلى المحامي مارك ويشوف القضية مرة أخرى. اتصلوا بنا، رقم المكتب 248-702-6641.
Yeah. I just kind of thought of one sort of, we can call it an exception, if you will, to that. And that's when, let's say you had a case prior to the new case and that was filed in a circuit court, and defense files a motion for summary based on the open obvious doctrine. The case gets dismissed. Those cases essentially won't be able to be reopened, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's been a final order on those cases, and those cases you can't reopen. That's the unfortunate side of it, but it's the ever-evolving law as it is.
Right.
قسم من القضايا اللي مشت بالمحكمة والمحكمة طلعت قرار بأنه ما عندهم قضية، هاي القضية ما تقدر تنفتح بعد.
لأنه اوريدي
طلع قرار محكمة ما تقدر ترجع قرار
And there's
المحكمة.
a reason why the courts do this, right? They don't want a million cases being reopened after a new case comes out, because the case laws is changing, right? It always changes. So that's essentially their reason. Not saying that I agree with it, but that's kind of their reason of why. Right? Would you agree with that, Mark?
I would absolutely agree with it. I mean, it's part of continuing in terms of a judicial efficiency to continue to address the public's needs and their cases. It's unfortunate when it happens, but you know, you can't come back from a case from 1975 to the current day to try to relitigate your case.
Right.
مثل ما تفضلوا بأنه القضية إذا المحكمة يعني طلعت قرار إلها ومسدودة ما تنفتح، لأنه إذا خلوها مفتوحة معناته عدة ملايين القضايا ترجع مرة اللخة
court system would just get eaten up by
كل شيء. يعني لازم يحطون فد حد معين.
Right. So, you know, obviously this is huge for us.
Yes.
And, you know, I do think that you know, the Supreme Court now is kind of, you know, making better rulings, more in favor of plaintiffs, from what I can see. And we're hoping that things continue on that path and, you know, get good justice for people that deserve it.
Yeah, I think so. And I want to kind of readdress one question that you had asked and whether or not it was, whether it was huge for us. And I have seen immediate changes in over the last month and a half in cases to where we took them prospectively when we knew that there wasn't a case there originally, knowing that there was going to be a law change, a case that we didn't think was worth any money at the time. Now it's been litigated and the case resolved for $90,000.
Wow.
Very, very smart move on your end. You know, he predicted that the law was going to change. This case it was been up there for a long time, and we all thought that the law was going to change, and it did. Great move, and you know, clients are now getting justice. I'm sure they're very happy about that.
Yeah, and that's what the initial phone conversation is. You're right. You know, when you have such good news to bring to a client to say, yeah, you remember when we told you it was worth $0? Look at what we got now. And that's not from a monetary perspective. It's more of an altruistic perspective to say you didn't have anything before. This is the help that we gave you.
That feels great.
مثل ما تفضل قبل شهر ونص ماكو كان قضية زيرو. المحامين اللي اختصاص بالسليب اند فول والعضات الكلاب بأنه عرفوا أكو وصلت للنهاية وراح يطلع قرار. فالمحامي مارك بدأ يأخذ قضايا بأنه هو يعتقد إذا القانون تغير يقدر يحصلها من فتشي.
Even starting last year after, right? I assume, Mark, you're taking these cases for a couple of years, right?
Yep, absolutely.
وده ياخذ هسه قضايا مال قبل سنة أو سنتين. القضية اللي أخذها قال لهم حاليا لأنه القانون ما متغير قضيتك صفر، بس إذا تغير احتمال تتغير. فالقانون تغير ومن صفر جاب له 90,000. يس. هذا شطارة محامي بشلون بدأ يفكر لي قدام شلون راح أقدر أساعد الزبون ومحتاج وهو فعلا متأذي.
So on the flip side, just imagine all these people that called you, Mark, you essentially other firms are saying, hey, there's an open obvious doctrine. I don't think you have a case. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Instead, Mark was actually taking these cases, signing them up. And now look, a lot of those people probably wouldn't have known about this law change, and they would have said, oh, I don't have a case. And that's it.
So هسه اللي صار له أقل من 3 سنين الحادث مالته يقدر يقدم مثل ما قلنا اتصلوا بينا ندزها للمحامي مارك ونشوف ايش نقدر نسوي.
طبعا تتصلون بالمكتب مكتب قاجي لو فيرم على 248-702-6641. استشاراتهم ايضا مجانيه. وهم اللي يخططوا لك انت او يشرحوا لك بالضبط انت شو تسوي.
واللي عنده هسه سؤال
واللي عنده سؤال اذا يتصل بنا على 586-825-2015. الحلقة تنقل لايف على صفحة إذاعة صوت الغد، وأيضا تنقل لايف على اليوتيوب فيوتشر راديو ميشيغان. وأي سؤال معنا المحامي لورنس قاجي، وأيضا المحامي مارك سيسن، وأيضا معنا الأخت تمارا للترجمة.
Yeah. So as I previously mentioned, as you know, and you deal with a lot of people in our community, our community has a lot of business owners and real estate owners, right? So I did want to talk to Mark about essentially what sort of advice you would give to real estate owners, business owners, as to what coverage they would select and how much in coverage would protect them in case something essentially happens and they hire a lawyer and aggressive lawyer like yourself, and where they try to get top dollar for their injuries.
Right. Fantastic question. Really difficult now for the landowner, as opposed to a month ago, to answer this question. When you have somebody in a slip and fall, and anything that occurs on your premises, it's very different than a car accident. Car accident, you can have soft tissue injuries to death. With slip and falls, you have traumatic injuries. Somebody slipped, fell, they shattered their elbow, they broke their shoulder, broke their leg. Surgery is always a result of the fall. And as a landowner, you have to be aware of that, because you're responsible for their medical bills and for their pain and suffering, as well as their lost wages should they be working at the time. Those damages are not just to that point. That's past, present, and future.
So if you have someone permanently disabled, that you're going to claim their wage loss into the future, into the 75 years old, whatever the number is.
So for a savvy lawyer, they would be estimating damages into the seven figures, meaning the millions of dollars. As
he will sell his business.
I mean, just think about it. If someone's permanently disabled and they're 35 years old, they had 40 years of working, and they're making, whatever they're making, that's going to be a lot of money.
Yes.
يعني نصيحة لكل أصحاب الشوبينج سنترز، المحلات،
أهل الجاز ستيشنز،
لازم يكون عندكم محامي حتى يشرح لكم بالضبط شنو اللي أنتم تحتاجوه، لأنه إذا وقع واحد يمكم راح يكلفكم حتى $1,000,000 مثلا. ملايين.
يس، خاصة إذا اتأذى وأذيته تكسر وعملية وما يقدر يشتغل بعد، رواتبه حتى للعطل وضرر، وكل بلاته وكل المساعدات كله يتحمله أبو البزنس. نعم.
فتتصلون بالمحامي لورنس، والمكتب هو يشرح لكم ويدسكم على المحامي مثلا مارك سيسن على 248-702-6641.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Mark, but so the last thing that a business owner wants is to have a slip and fall at their business, and they have $50,000 in coverage. The issue comes, obviously, these gas stations or Kroger's and whatever stores are out there, they are collectible. They're not like a lay person that doesn't have any money in their bank account or doesn't have any assets. So, lawyers will come after their assets, and that's why you don't want to happen. So if you have a slip and fall case that's very bad injuries, you have $50,000 in coverage, you're opening yourself up to huge liability.
That's right.
So that means that means every landlord should go over their
absolutely
their policies again and redo them
for sure,
and make sure that they are more up higher.
What about insurance?
This is the time to do it.
Insurance policy, yes.
This is the time to do it. The law, essentially the law just changed. In my opinion, there's going to be a lot more slip and fall cases that are going to be pursued. This is the time to do it. I've been telling all my family and friends, everyone that does own businesses, make sure you have the proper coverage.
نصيحة من المحامين اثنيناتهم للجالية مالتنا، بما أنه الجالية عندنا جالية كلش كبيرة، عندهم هم الأونرز مال محلات، gas stations، محلات، أي محلات، كل شيء. رجعوا على الانشورنس مالتكم، شوفوا شنو اللايبيلتي مالتكم، ال50 يقدرون يجون وراء مالتك المحل البيت، يعرفون انت عندك، ما راح يوقفون. المحامين راح يجون وراك وياخذون كل شيء. راجعوها، علوها، هذا ضمان لكم.
زيدون الكفرج.
نعم.
Just to finalize that answer, I know I went a little bit too longer for what I
said,
said,
and I cut you off too, so I apologize.
Specifically for business owners, you want to get with an attorney immediately to talk about the amounts of coverage that you are insuring yourself for. At the very least, in my opinion, it would be $1 million to an umbrella of $1 million with that. Because if, God forbid, somebody should slip and fall and die, you're looking at that, and your business is at stake, your livelihood's at stake. So for specific numbers, you want to be in the 7 figures to protect yourself. And the cost of insurance is not that much for that amount of protection, because with purchasing insurance comes the protection of a lawyer provided to you by the insurance company.
Okay.
And
Right.
And just like Lawrence said, winter is coming, and in the state of Michigan, that means rain, sleet, snow, and ice, and slip and falls at your business.
Everything. Yes. تفضل المحامي قال أول شيء أبو المحل، الأونر مال المحل، اللي يقدر هسه يسويه يتصل بمحامي وخليه محامي وياه، والمحامي يشوف له الباليسي مالته. الباليسي يقول أقل شيء لازم 7 أرقام، مليون وفوق، مليون على الباليسي، ويسوي أمبريلا، يعني مثل الشمسية كاملة على كل شيء، غير مليون الأخر
عدل هذه.
أي يقول الانشورنس مو عالي هالقد. إضافة إلى هذا، من تأخذ هيجي انشورنس، الانشورنس إلها حق تخلي لك محامي إلك همينه. هذا هم فشي مهم جدا. أنا ما كنت أعرف.
This could mean it could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Honestly.
لأنه إذا أنت تأخذ محامي لروحك يكلفك كلش هواية، ويعرفون أنت عندك محل، يعرفون عندك بيت، يعرفون عندك سيارة، عندك فلوس، عندك أشياء بالبنك، يجون وراك راح يأخذون كل شيء. فرجاء للكل اتصلوا بمحامين، شوفوا شنو التغطية مالتكم، لأنه مو بس أنت تأخذ محامي، يقدر الانشورنس يخلي لك محامي. هذا أهم شيء، بأنه واحد يغطي ظهره، خاصة إحنا بمشيغان الشتاء جاي، بدت تمطر already.
I mean, just don't take that chance. I mean, if you have a business that's feeding your family, and something bad can happen, like a slip and fall, and it's worth $1 million, and your gas station is worth $1 million,
they will
take the chance. Just get the right coverage. It's not too expensive. It's a deduction on your taxes. Just get the right coverage.
لا تأخذ يعني أي ريسك. روح غير الكفر مالتك، الكفرج مالتك هسه حرامات تخسر البزنس، حرامات تخسر العائلة مالتك على مود كفرج، حتى أنت تكون مرتاح همينة، لأنه مثل ما قلنا هنا مالتنا الجو كلش مو زين بالشتاء.
Talking about being relaxed, from the time a claim is made until the time the case settles could be years. So I don't think that's something that you want to go through and worry about for years to come.
What is the range of a claim? How long?
How long a claim can happen? Well, that's two different animals.
يعني لا مو مبلغ.
لا الوقت. How much it takes?
Yes.
Yeah.
So once you file the lawsuit, it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Wow. مثل ما تفضل المحامي لورنس يقول هاي القضايا تطول سنين.
نعم.
فأنت ما تريد بالك مشغول سنين من وراء قضية. المحامي مارك قال بس من نبدي نرفع القضية تطول من 2 إلى 3 سنين. وحسب الأضرار اللي صار
القضية
سو تكون أطول همينة
لما
احتمال.
تطول 3 سنين يعني المحامي ايش قد راح ياخذ؟
Yeah, that's all.
And essentially the you know, Mark, with slip and fall cases at least, you are in a contingency fee where you don't charge anything until you win. Is that correct, Mark?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially just like what we do at the office with accident cases.
مثل الحوادث السيارات، المحامي ما يطلب مقدم ولا لازم تدفع له بالساعة. ربح القضية ياخذ نسبة من القضية، ما ربح القضية ما ياخذ أي شيء من عندك.
يخسر فلوسه.
فيعني أنت الشخص اللي متضرر ما خسران بأي شيء.
طبعا احنا ما حكينا على عضة الكلب ولا شيء.
Yes.
Yeah.
So far we just spoke about slip and fall, and probably we have
10 minutes,
12 minutes,
12 minutes, and we didn't even talk about dog bites.
I think dog bite cases are not as technical and advanced premise cases. Would that be correct? I never handled a dog bite case, so I don't want to say for sure, but
that's 100% accurate because dog bites fall under a different law. So in different types of cases, whether it's an auto accident or a slip and fall, you're on general negligence. With a dog bite case, there's something called strict liability, meaning that you have to keep your dog on a leash. It's that straightforward.
اوكي. عضات الكلاب قانونها كلش مختلف عن الحوادث السيارات والسليب اند فول. الحوادث السيارات والسليب اند فول القانون مالتها احتماليا، بينما عضات الكلاب لا متأكدة، لأنه لازم تحط دائما الكلب مالتك على الحزام، لأنه إذا أنت مو على الحزام معناته أنت مدى تمشي ويا القانون.
اكو شغله قبل ما يعني حتى سؤالك، في بعض الاحيان لما انت الكلب مالتك يعني عض واحد، انت المسؤول راح تصير.
He said with dog bites, it is the owner of the dog who is responsible for everything.
That's correct.
So let's get into that. So you know, Mark, how do dog bite cases come about, right? We assume there's a dog that has bitten a human. Okay. So what happens after that? I mean, did the dogs have insurance? Like, just to explain it to someone that has no idea.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the typical way that it works is the owner of the dog is responsible for it as the owner. The owner's responsibility is keep that dog on a leash. The only defense that they typically have in that case is if somebody is provoking that dog. It's called provocation, hitting the dog, messing with the dog, something like that. But if you get bit by a dog, your first step is to contact an attorney and send a letter to them. I'm represented by so-and-so, Mr. Qaji.
Yes.
Mr. Sisson. And we're seeking compensation for the injuries. That person turns that over to their insurance, their homeowner's insurance.
Homeowner.
Correct.
There you go. So اللي يصير عنده عضة كلب، أول شيء لازم يكون الكلب على مالته الحزام. ثاني شيء يكون مو أنت مثلا متحارش بالكلب أو ضاربة لو تشمر عليه فشي حتى تهيجه للكلب. المسؤول عن هاي العضة دائما صاحب الكلب نفسه. أول ما يصير عندك عضة كلب اتصل بالمحامي، والمحامي يرسل رسالة لصاحب الكلب بأنه هو عنده محامي. صاحب الكلب رأسا ياخذ هاي الرسالة ويدزها للإنشورنس مالته اللي هي الإنشورنس مال البيت مالته. الهوم اونر insurance. I have a question. If you are renting,
the twist.
Yes.
It's a good question, actually.
Yes.
It is a fantastic question because I do deal a lot with renters who have dogs. As a renter, you should purchase renter's insurance that covers the dog.
Okay.
If you don't, you are personally liable for that dog's actions.
Wow.
It doesn't change the liability.
Yes. سؤالي
worse.
Yeah.
سؤالي كان بأنه إذا أنت مو صاحب بيت بس أنت مأجر عندك إيجار ماكو داعي تشتري انشورنس مال البيت. لازم إذا عندك كلب بالبيت لازم تشتري انشورنس يسموه انشورنس مالت إيجار حتى تغطي للكلب. إذا ما عندك يقدرون يجون وراك مباشرة.
يعني نصيحة للي عندهم كلاب،
لازم عندك
إذا
انشورنس.
هم مأجرين لازم ياخذون انشورنس مال إيجار.
Yes.
I'm as shocked
هذا
as you guys
إضافي.
are. I didn't even know that. I'm as shocked as you guys are.
Yeah, this is something new.
Wow.
لأنه هواي ناس عندهم كلاب هم مأجرين بيوت لكنهم ما عندهم هالانشورنس مستحيل.
مأجرين بيوت، مأجرين شقة، مأجرين كوندو، أي شيء. يعني هاي فشي جدا مهم.
فعلا.
Okay, very important to know.
Very important. And on the other side of it, I know a lot of members of the community and that are listening are entrepreneurs. So if you are a landlord and you rent and you have properties that you rent out to people, one big word of advice to them is to require in your leases that the renter have insurance for that. You can require it through the lease that you have, because there isn't a very arbitrary case out there that says that the landlord can be responsible for the dog if it's known to be a dangerous dog.
Okay.
And they left it there.
Okay.
هذا شرحي.
نقطة أخرى جدا جدا مهمة. نطلب من أهل اللي يأجرون
بس
أهل اللي يأجرون بأنه تكتب بالعقد مالتك بأنه أنت تريد تشوف الانشورنس مال الشخص اللي عنده الكلب، لأنه أكو قانون يقول إذا المؤجر ما عنده يقدرون يرجعون على صاحب البناية. فأنت ما تريد هاي المشكلة ترجع لصاحب البناية. مع علم إحنا جاليتنا هواية عندهم يأجرون أمانة، يكون واحد كلش واضح بهالنقطة، خاصة إذا يعرفون أكو حيوان موجود يعني الكلب.
فلهذا أكو قسم من أصحاب المحلات أو أصحاب البيوت ما يقبلون.
Yes, that's why there's a lot of
that's right.
They don't allow it.
They do not allow any pets.
Any kind of pets.
That's right.
Any kind of pets.
Essentially opens them up to liability, which they try to avoid, obviously.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And these are, similar to slip and fall accident cases can be very bad. I mean, dog bites essentially will have scars attached to the body, and scars get, you can claim scars obviously in your case. So, it could essentially be a very big case. So definitely would have the listeners watch out for that.
How long that kind of case will take? The dog bite, yes.
So dog bites are a little bit different because they tend to be either a range from a 10-degree injury or to a 100-degree injury because of the mauling, the way the dog bites, the bacteria that's in the mouth that can cause infection. So those wounds, those damages, those injuries can be so significant. In that situation, when they're that significant, the insurance company is willing to resolve the case because 99 out of 100 times there's photos of traumatic injuries like that. So they say, we don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
If it's just a minor injury, you're looking at a longer time.
اوكي. اذا العضه تكون كبيره، لان حسب نوع العضه اذا كبيره وبها التهابات، طبعا الصور موجوده، الانشورنس ما تريد تمشي بالقضيه تطولها، فشي مبين فرأسا تريد تحل القضيه. بينما اذا العضه تكون بسيطه لا، القضية تطول لأنه لازم بها إثباتات وشنو الأضرار وهاي الأشياء اللي وراها تجي. Wow, that is so the bigger the easier, the smaller the harder.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
One last question before we run out of time. Mark, what are the are there any hurdles to win a dog bite case similar to the open and obvious defenses or defenses that we see in car accident cases? What's the main hurdles that you kind of see and give us some advice to our listeners and try to avoid these, obviously?
The most common hurdle that you face in litigating a dog bite case is whether or not the injured party provoked that animal. Did they hit the dog? Did they hit its leg? Did they grab its ear? Did they do something like that to
Oh.
provoke that dog? If there's nothing with regard to provocation,
That's the difference.
not much of a hurdle.
اوكي. شنو الاشياء اللي تصعب القضيه؟ النقطه الوحيده اللي تصعب القضيه بانه اذا انت اذيت للكلب، اذا لزمته من رجليه من اذنه، لو ضربته، لو هاي القضيه الوحيده اللي تسوي القضيه اصعب. بس اذا هو اجى ركض
عادي.
وعضك خلاص القضيه عدله، ما بها اي يعني اشياء.
We have to end.
All right, that was good.
Thank
That was a good show, right? That was good.
Do you have anything?
No, hopefully this was
Last words?
this is more informational to the listeners, and hopefully we gave them some good advice. Get your right coverage and don't take any chances.
What about you? Last words.
Just thanks for having me, and I look forward to telling you more.
You know, I do want to bring Mark back maybe we can bring him back for the civil rights cases one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
طبعا مستمعينا الأكارم ومشاهدينا الأعزاء، نشكر المحامي لورنس قاجي.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mark, for being with us today. وتشكرين ست تمارا
أهلا
دائما
وسهلا.
تعبك ونخليك على أعصابك يعني.
No, اهلا وسهلا. Anytime.
مستمعينا الأعزاء مشاهدينا، نلتقيكم إن شاء الله في الأسبوع القادم وحلقة جديدة من برنامج المحامي لورنس قاجي اللي راح نسوي له اسم.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're gonna